Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. That's from a guy, he's 26 years old, he's from Australia, and he shares his story about events that happened about 3 years ago when he first moved out of his house from his parents. You're going to see in the story, guys, that he and his buddy were going to rent a place, apartment or house, I forget which one it is, and one thing led to another, and they had an opportunity to have some girls move in with them. I think that would be a great idea. As you're going to see, it wasn't a great idea. It was better off if just the two of them, the bros, lived together. And I'm going to go over here, guys, just to show you that it's best in the living situation, if you're moving out, you need a roommate, having another guy. And does that mean that every girl is going to behave in this manner? No. And does that mean that guys won't behave in a different but equal bad manner? Yes. But in this situation here with the guys, the only reason you move in with a girl is if you plan on marrying her, and it's like the final test. After years of being with her, it's the final test to see what it's like living with her before you actually say, I do. Other than that, don't waste your time. And a lot of guys do this because they think like, oh, I'll just save some money. Or better yet, I have a pretty girl live with me, and maybe, just maybe, I'll get some. Or she has some pretty friends that'll come on over, and I can get some with them too. That type of thing, because I've been there. So grab some popcorn. It's a longer story, but definitely entertaining. He says here, hello SSM. My name is Hayden, 26 years old, living down under in Australia. I have a bit of a different story for you, which I hope you and all your viewers will enjoy. I've never been married, but this is about a couple of female housemates I rented and live with. Before I start, thank you for your channel. Your stories are entertaining and I love watching them. I've learned a lot from you, which I can apply to my own life. I want to give back to you by giving you my story, which covers the last 2 years of living with my housemates. I'll probably get a few smacks. You will. But I believe you'll be happy for me in the end. Well, bro, I'm glad I could help you out. I'm glad you enjoy the channel. I appreciate your support. In 2020, I want to move out of home and try my hand at living independently, and my best friend Jack, not his real name, needed somewhere to live as his grandparents were selling the house to become nomads. I've known Jack since I was in grade 4, so we know each other very well. Our families have also known each other well, and I'm basically another son to his mum. Jack has a sister who we will call Amber, who is his mum's favorite. We decided to move out together and found a 2-bedroom unit that we live in, and it was cheap, and we always split everything 50-50. We lived together pretty much perfectly. We only had one small incident in which both of us were in a bad mood and slightly raised our voices at each other. But we were over it the next day and never had another problem with each other, so things were going well. Okay. People have disagreements, but there's ways of handling disagreements like adults and handling them like a bunch of children, drama queens. And take a wild guess who's more likely to handle situations like childish drama queens. During this time, I was working for an internet provider after completing a bachelor's in networking at university. After working there for a year, I was promoted to a supervisor position. This provider went on the stock market, and as part of an employee plan, they gave everyone working there 1,000 shares and the option to purchase more. I decided to purchase more, so I purchased 5,000 more shares at $1 a share, as that's all I could afford at the time. On day 1 of the company being released on the share market, the shares doubled. Nice move, dude. Now, I'm curious if you had to then hold on to your shares for a while. That was part of the deal. Often it is. There's a lockup period that you can't sell them. But if you could, sometimes you take your quick profits and run, or at least some of the profits. So I doubled my money on day 1. I decided to hold on to them longer as they grew and became worth more. This will become relevant later on. So Amber decided that she wants to move in with us boys, and we were fine with it, so we arranged to find a 3-bedroom unit for rent, and we found a really nice one, and we moved in around October 2021. One of the agreements we had was that Amber would mow the lawns in exchange for having the master bedroom, as it was significantly bigger and had an en-suite as well, and I was getting us free internet for the provider I work for. Part of the deal for her living there and getting the bigger bedroom is that she was going to mow the lawn. Okay, sure. Does she even know how to use a lawnmower? Turn on a lawnmower. I did a whole story about my feminist wife. I made her do the lawnmower thing about a year and a half ago. It's one of the best stories ever. And she didn't know how to use the lawnmower. Within the first week, Amber was having some drinks, and I noticed she had some lemon lime vodka cruisers. And she invited a friend around, which was a hookup. I didn't trust him when I looked at him, but I didn't say anything as I trusted her judgment and left it at that. The next day there was a knock at my door, and the neighbor on the right side had come over, and we had a talk because there's a broken bottle on his side of the yard with a lemon lime cruiser bottle smashed. The glass had ended up in his pool, and the glass bottle chipped his windowsill. It was lucky the bottle didn't end up through the window. He asked me if I knew anything about it, and I said I didn't, as I didn't recall the cruises during the conversation. After the conversation, when I sat back down and was thinking about it, I recalled the cruisers and realized it must have been something to do with the household. Yeah, the sister and that guy she brought over, that hookup guy. Now they're getting you in trouble. Everything was good until you brought the girl in. The neighbor came back for a second conversation. We went outside and he said it would have come from our side because due to the lay of the house, it could have only come from the other side, from our side of the fence. He wrote this a little off. We had a look through the bin inside the shed, and there was no rubbish there, and we looked through the bin and that we had in the kitchen, and sure enough, there was the packaging for the drinks. I advised the neighbor that this was our third housemate, and she wasn't home at the moment. I messaged her and asked her what time she would be home, and she said 7 p.m., and I let the neighbor know. A little after 7 p.m., she gets home. I go out to greet her. I also get Jack out as well and told him what had happened. As soon as she comes home, the neighbor comes over as well. I told the neighbor wants to have a word with her, and we go over and show her what happened. As we showed her what happened, she breaks down in tears and says how sorry she is with us standing there and looking at her awkwardly. She got drunk. Her hookup got drunk. They acted like jackasses. Property was damaged. And now this guy and his roommate have to deal with her drama. See what I'm talking about here? Now, I'm not saying guys can't pull bullshit too, but they had a good situation, so they brought her in. Just so she can mow the lawn. And she's crying about it to try to get people to get her out of trouble. The neighbor wants her to pay for the pool to get cleaned, a new windowsill, which he must get ordered in case, as he couldn't get that frame as it's from a store. She does cover the cost. The story is that while she was showing this guy, she went over through the back gate and threw it over the fence in the neighbor's yard. The audacity of it was that we had to walk out the side door from the master bedroom, which led down a path to the right and go through the gate and walk a little more to the fence to throw it. As the gate led basically to the driveway of the unit in the back, we were in the front. Jack and I couldn't believe this dickhead did this. I have a diagram below what the pattern looks like and the route he had to walk in through it. He actually has a diagram here. Not necessary, brother, but since you took the time to do the diagram, I'll show the community here. Later on, we got introduced to her friend, and we'll call Jade. Jade was kicked out from her previous place from need a place to stay. Jack and I agreed, smack, you're bringing another girl in the house who was recently kicked out of her former residence? Really? You think that's a very smart thing to do? But watch this. Jack and I agreed as long as she pays rent, which we all agreed on, and she'll be staying in the master bedroom with Amber. To give a bit about Jade, she was shorter than me. I'm about 169 centimeters tall. She is a 9 in 10s in looks department, has tattoos, borderline personality disorder, also a single mom, and has a really good temper. She also has a traumatic background. The biggest red flag you can know. Jack and I got on with her really well at the start due to her calm environment we created. You invited a girl to come live with you after you had the drama with Amber, a gal who says borderline personality disorder, a single MOM, all sorts of traumatic background. Why'd you do that? I'll tell you why. Because you just said she's a 9 out of 10s in the looks department and you wanted to get laid. That's what was going on here. Or hoping maybe she has friends she could bring over. Same thing. Dude, what the fuck? Now, I know you're young, and I've been young and dumb and did dumbass things too, but I'm going to point these things out. And your dumbass friend for doing that. It was a lot easier when it was just the bros. And by the way, you think you're going to get that money from her? This was fine for a while until Amber started to have a bit of a meltdown. She said that she felt like she was doing everything and that we weren't contributing to the household. Granted, Antoine and I could have done better and took accountability, but she was just as guilty. And she was stressing out over paying the rent every week. So I took over paying the rent to help her out, and we all try to be better and contribute more to the house. Things go fine for a while, and then Amber and Jay begin to start falling out with each other. And there were rumors of Amber wanting to move out, which was starting to stress all of us out because we didn't know what was going on and what she was going to do. So I call a house meeting with all of us, and Amber's boyfriend turns up to meet this meeting as well. What does Amber's boyfriend have anything to do with this? He's not living in the house. Well, to protect his woman. I'm not sure why we let him attend, because you guys don't have a backbone at the moment, as it didn't concern him, but we continued on anyway. Amber is freaking out again as she still feels like she's doing everything and doesn't feel like she has her own space since Jade is sharing it with her. Well, isn't she the one that allowed her to share the space with her? I bring up one night where both Amber and Jade cooked tacos, and they left all the dishes and some meat out a night or two, and Amber took no accountability, which annoyed me. Nothing was wrong in the eyes, it was everyone else's fault. She also brought up that she has to mow and no one else was doing it. Wasn't part of the deal, her living there, she mowed the lawn, she got the bigger bedroom, something like that. I brought up this was the agreement we made, as I also being free internet to the household. She still didn't take accountability. She also struggled to say anything in the meeting as well. The only time she spoke was when her boyfriend whispered in her ear, and she would just repeat what he had to say. It was weird and it felt manipulative. Well, I guarantee it was. You're learning a very valuable lesson here. On a quick side story, her boyfriend came around and cooked dinner for himself, which is fine. However, the next morning, I wake up and there was a weird smell in the main area, and Jade noticed it as well, and we were not sure what it was. She was on the phone to a relative. I think it was, they mentioned gas, and that's when it clicked. We were smelling gas. It turns out he must have left the gas on the stove, and it was stink going through the house. Oh my God. It was lucky we didn't blow it up. Normally Jade smokes and lights up just as he is stepping outside into the outside from the master bedroom. Of course Jade smokes. Miss borderline personality disorder and all that. However, she lit up outside on this day. It was a holy shit moment, and we opened every door we could and to get rid of it all. Back to the story, we agree that she takes a few days to think on what she wants to do. Either we try and work together to create a better household, or she moves out. She decides to move out not long afterwards. So Amber and Jade begin the process of transferring the lease into Jade's name and from Amber's. Oh, because Jade's so wonderful. This screwed up Jade as she was off work the last couple weeks due to being holidays and she had no income, and now she was expected to pay rent without warning, which messed her up. I had to cover 4 weeks worth of rent when it was being split 4 ways. It also turns out that Amber and Jade made an agreement that Jade wasn't to pay rent, so Amber was paying for Jade's portion, which us boys didn't know about at the time. This further messed up Jade's schedule for paying her portion of things. So, the house almost gets blown up. Problems with the cash flow to pay the bills, from the rent, all that. All to get some girls in there for which you know darn well what you guys are really thinking. How dumb is that? No accountability, drama, trying to weasel the way out of things. When it was just the two bros in the beginning, you were fine. And even if you had to pay more, it was worth it. It says here, Jade moves out and then wants her portion of the bond back. Originally, the bond was split 3 ways between me, Jack, and Amber. Since the real estate has the bond, it is between us and arranged Amber to get her third back. Since Jack and I have paid our third, this is really between Amber and Jade, in which Jade doesn't have the money. All 3 of us received a letter from Jack's mum threatening to take us to small claims court if we don't provide the bond over to Amber. Yes, his own mum did this to him, and I thought this was really a shitty thing to do with me as well, since I look after Jack really well, and we've known each other all this time. Jade comes to me asking me to cover the bond unless under the guise that she'll pay me back. Sure, she'll pay you back. Since I don't want to deal with the hassle of small claims court and wanted this to be over, I loaned her the money in order to pay Amber off. You're never going to see that money again, dude. In hindsight, I shouldn't have given her the money and let it play out. After all, I believe there's a big waiting list to even go to get to small claims court, and even then, Jack and I probably would have been fine, as we both paid our third anyway. It would just be between Jade and Amber, but you never know how things go to avoid the drama that I loathe. Jack and Amber's grandfather comes around, and we hand the money over to him, and we had him sign a piece of paper saying the third of the bond was received, so there could be no further disputes in the future, and everyone had a copy of this. The saga was finally over for all of us, and we were relieved. So you thought it was over. I did also come to find out that later that Jade and Amber had you-know-what with someone else's boyfriend in the main room of the house. It would have taken anyone to walk in there to see it was the kitchen, dining, and lounge room in one space. I also had my couch in there, so I'm not sure if they did it on the couch or on the mattress or on the floor. They probably did it everywhere. When Amber moved out, she moved in with her boyfriend, in which they had multiple breakups and get back togethers just because they were first lovers. It's pretty toxic. Jack and I guessed that they would break up in a few months, and sure enough, that's what happened. From what I heard, they had a really big falling out, and her boyfriend kicked her out. He says the story isn't over, however, blah, 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 blah. During this time, I also moved to work for another provider as I got miserable at my current job, and some friends moved over to this new provider. So I moved over as well. I was a lot happier at this company, but it was a big pay cut. I was so comfortable though. Also, along with this, I didn't want anything to do with my old company, so I decided to sell my 6,000 shares for $4.65 a share, making $30,000, which is pretty awesome. That is awesome. That's a very easy return. And don't forget to pay your taxes. I just stuck this in my savings and had it sit there while saving up some other money as well. During this time, Jade was paying her portion of the bills and the rent. It was just the 4 weeks when we were splitting it 4 ways and the bond. She did ask me for another $250 some point during this. I deserve a smack for this, but I lent it to her. Smack! Stop doing that. Without her paying anything back. Shocker. I shouldn't have done this with the hindsight, but the nice guy in me did. Guys, I did a video on the Dating What channel earlier today about not lending women money. Don't ever do it. You're not going to get it back. Okay? Period. Buy them things, lend them money. I also did propose us being friends with benefits as well. There you go. There you go. That's why you let her move in. That's why you let her have these different deals and arrangements. That's why you lend her money. You're bribing her as a way to hopefully get some easy friends with benefits SCX. That's what's going on, and she knows it. Another deserved smack. I was aware of the terms don't stick your you-know-what and crazy and the red flags, yet I asked anyway. You asked? Would you like to be friends with benefits? She rejected this, and I was upset about it. However, looking back at it now, I'm glad we never had you-know-what. Yeah, but now she knows you're hot for her, and so she can use that to her advantage, as she already has been. Later on, we received a notice to vacate as the landlord didn't want to renew the lease, so now we have to go through the hassle of finding a new place. Well, I don't blame the landlord. We found a new place that was okay, which we moved into in August 2022. The night before we were due to move out, I wanted to have the kitchen all packed up, and I made both Jack and Jade aware of this. I also arranged a moving truck for the next day. However, Jade messes around with her friends and has some pizza, which was late being delivered, and Jack decides to go to bed. This annoyed me, but I didn't say anything. I finished sorting out my stuff for the move and then just gave up and went to bed. So the kitchen didn't get done until the very next day. The next day, the move for Jack and I goes smoothly. However, Jade arranged to have her stuff moved by her friends and not by the truck. She had most things moved, however, still had a lot of crap in the old place. The next day, guess who has to make probably about 10 trips in his car moving Jade's stuff between both the properties. He says, I do. I was really terrible weather as there was lots of rain, so I got sick from getting in and out of the rain so much. Why are you moving her stuff? Again, you're trying to get some. We then go back to the old house to clean it. We were behind in the move, and I'm frustrated because of it. We also give it a deep clean in one day, which was a nightmare. I only had a couple of days booked off work to make the move. Even after a deep clean, it wasn't clean enough for the real estate, so we just get them to get in the professionals to do the rest covered by our bond money as I was back at work and didn't really have the time. I also had to come back and put out the bins to make sure they were empty as well. Yeah, they were just trying to get as much money out of you as possible. Once the move was over, I did get a bit emotional over it, and this is probably when Jay started losing respect for me. Losing respect for you, number one, who cares what she thought of you? Number two, she already lost respect for you a long time ago. That's why she's treating you in such a way, because she had your number. You were just trying to get laid. I guarantee you that if Jade was 375 pounds with her tattoos and being a single MOM, you wouldn't be interested in her. And this bullshit wouldn't have happened. But since she's hot and in her prime, even though she had a kid and borderline personality disorder and a troubled background, been different. I haven't confirmed this, but it feels like she did, especially from what I have learned from this channel, where you show weakness and the girl loses respect. It is what it felt like. Told you. And the whole time we lived in the new place, Jade didn't sleep there once. She got a boyfriend and was living with him the entire time. Hang on here. You moved to a new place and you brought this Jade character with you a second time? She was just using a new place as storage. This is where she starts to get flaky with us boys. We arranged for Jack's dad to do the lawns for a small cost. We asked Jade to cover her third if she goes off at me and pays us one time. Due to the drama it caused, we never asked her again, and us boys had to split 50-50. We also asked her to contribute to the power bill as well, and she kicked back on this, saying that she didn't use it because she wasn't the property, which was true, and we accepted this, and there was no point pushing back further. Smack! I should have smacked you earlier, at least 5 times. She has a space there for her stuff, but yet you're still not getting paid. And, you know what I mean? She still should cover some of the electric regardless, you know. Even if you're not using the electric, still some electric is being used to keep the refrigerator on and other things like that. You guys are just, you're pushovers, and she knows it. Jade was still paying the rent during this time. Sometimes between the old place and the new place is about when I discovered your channel and have enjoyed it ever since. Jade then goes to Queensland to visit her son in January this year, as her aunt basically stole him away from Jade. Gee, I wonder why. During this time, she stops paying rent under the guise of paying me back. I did receive 1 or 2 payments from her, so she paid some back, but she still owed me a lot. It got pretty bad when she owed over 6 weeks in rent, and I got some of it back. I deserve another smack for this, but I didn't want Jack, and I'd be kicked out, so I was stuck between a rock and a hard place. Yeah. The landlord doesn't care where the money comes from. He wants to be paid. And if that girl isn't paying her part, if he doesn't get paid, he could evict you, depending on the laws of the land. Jack and I had been talking during this time, and this is when we decided that we need to work on another situation. I was over this drama and dealing with real estate. I had just over $40,000 saved up, and I started chatting with my bank to see if I could get a loan so I could purchase my own house. Now you're thinking, just keep these girls out of it. I found a nice 3-bedroom house with a double garage and a decent enough yard a few towns over, and I managed to get it for a little under $290K and settled in February this year. Congratulations. Since I was a few towns over and Jack doesn't drive, he decided to move back into home, as that is where his support network is, and he was just ordering all his meals through food ordering services, so it's the best move for him. So February comes around, I move into my new house, and Jack was out at this point as well. There was one day where I arranged to clean the house with Jack. However, he was sick that day, so I just went there myself and did my portion of the cleaning. Mind you, Jade still had her stuff everywhere in the kitchen, so I cleaned what I could. I was so checked out of the place, I thought about not paying the rent anymore since Jade wasn't, and I was just not caring about it anymore. Yeah, but that could screw up your credit. Jack's mom said that it can affect our credit rating, see? So I didn't want to bring this back on Jack or even myself. I only paid the rent when Jade paid me rent. I figured if she doesn't pay rent, why should I? Well, because you have an obligation and your credit could be impacted. You were the fool that got her moving in with you to think you could get laid or something like that. I was also at the point where I accepted I would never see the money again. I reached out to another friend on what I should do about the issue, and he suggested we work out a payment plan or settle the debt if I could have her fridge, as I didn't have one for my new house. Jade mentioned how she saved up for this fridge and spent $5,000 on it with an extended warranty, and how proud she is of it. However, it's only worth about $1,000 now. I suggested to her that I take the fridge to settle the debt. She accepted the terms. I knew that this hit her hard emotionally, so this is a big win for me, one I even take through, even though I'm still $1,500 out of pocket. The refrigerator would hit her emotionally. She gets emotional over a fridge. I hear girls get emotional over jewelry and shoes and handbags and purses, but not a fucking refrigerator. Maybe Australian women are different, I don't know. My mum also organized a fridge and washing machine as a housewarming present for everyone to put money towards. So I ended up with 2 refrigerators, which is awesome. Since the day I cleaned my old house, I mentally checked out of the place. And after everything I did for Jack and Jade, I was selfish for once and left them to sort it out. I heard from Jack's family that Jade still had stuff there, even after she moved some of it out, and then she left it at the last minute again. I also handed my key to Jack on Monday, and I was in another town. When we heard back from the real estate, it wasn't clean enough again, so we just got to the real estate to get professionals in once again. Once we finished paying rent, I was relieved. I get to live alone and be at peace with no drama. Well, when you involve people, there's always going to be some kind of conflicts or disagreements or drama. That's how it is. So be very careful who you move in with, guys. It can be with other guys too, but women take it to a whole new goddamn level here. And if they're hot, they know darn well they can get away with it with the whole drama and tears and favors, and you won't get the point. All in all, we should have never moved in with females, as Jack and I were content with what we had in the first unit. Right, you were fine in the beginning. We both just want out of the drama and live in peace, and that's how we get on. I also came across a new job in May this year for managed service provider, in which we provide IT services for businesses in the area, and I go out and provide technical support for those who need it. I'm loving this job, and it's paying me better than my old job, so it was a better opportunity for me. Good job, bro. I did leave the provider job on really good terms, and they were a great company to work for, so I can get back if I ever need to. Everything is going well, so I don't see myself going back anytime soon. My salary is about $62,000 a year now, and goes up a little bit each year I'm with a new company. So I'm doing quite well. I'm also taking more courses as well to upskill myself and make myself more employable. Good. Keep improving yourself. Keep studying or doing what you got to do to get more skills and move up in your company. You got a house at a young age. You're doing well for yourself. Good. You fucked up a lot in this story, but you were also young, 23, 24, 25 years old. I made dumbass mistakes too. Don't get me wrong. I only smack you because I know the stupid shit I did, and I'm trying to help young guys out there. Thank you for taking the time to read my story. I didn't expect it to be so long, but I hope it's really entertaining. I look forward to seeing you read it on your channel and providing your thoughts as you do in a video on it. Well, bro, I'm glad to help. He goes on about a little minor story after that, but it's not important. But anyhow, guys, a lesson. Don't move in with girls. Guys, moving with your bros, and I'm not saying your bros can't be jackasses too. This is why you got to move in with somebody that you have a mutual respect with, you can get along with, no drama, that type of thing. But don't bring people in just thinking you can save on rent to have the extra person that you may end up spending more because of problems they cause and things like that. And with the girls, don't waste your time. Does this mean every girl is going to do and behave like those girls? No, it does not. But with gals comes drama. And if they're good looking, they know darn well they can probably get away with stuff. And guys are pushovers like this guy was, and he was hoping to get with her, which is the real reason he moved her in. We all know it. It could backfire. And look what it did to him. At the end of the day, he was better off in the beginning before all this bullshit. But if it took him going through all that to learn, so be it. Now he's wiser, he's doing well, and he's sharing his story. Now you guys will learn this and not make the same mistakes, hopefully. So, all right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.